Thank you. Good morning. Today is Wednesday, June 1st, 2022. The Streets, Traffic, and Refuse Committee meeting is called to order. In light of what happened recently with the school children, I would like to, I know we do a moment of silence, but I would just like to take a moment of silence. I am so sick and tired of being sick and tired of what is going on in our country about our children, about every gun violence in general, but especially going into our schools and killing our children. So if the committee wouldn't mind, I'd like to just take a moment of silence for all the souls that were killed in yet another unnecessary entry into our school, murdering many, many people for no reason at all. Thank you. Okay. Madam Chair, would you please do a roll call?
Alderman Boyd.
I'm sorry, Madam Clerk, not Chair.
Alderman Boyd. Alderman Vaccaro.
Present. I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
Alderwoman Boyd.
Present.
Alderman Bosley. Alderwoman Schweitzer.
Present.
Alderwoman Peel. Chairwoman Tyus.
Present.
4 present, you have quorum.
Thank you. The next order of business is minutes, approval of the minutes from Thursday, March 17th, 2022. I'd entertain a motion.
Make a motion.
The minutes of Thursday, March 17th, 2022.
And I'll second that.
I need a motion.
Oh, I'll make the, well, I'm so moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Alderman Boyd. Alderman Vaccaro.
Aye.
Alderwoman Boyd.
Aye.
Alderman Bosley. Alderwoman Schweitzer.
Aye.
Alderwoman Peel. Chairwoman Tyus.
Aye.
4 aye votes.
By your vote, you sustain the motion. And the minutes are approved. Okay, next order of business. I see we only have one person that has a person to testify. So we're going to go to item number 2, board bill number 4, introduced by Alderwoman Annie Rice, since she has someone she brought with her to testify, and we had a long road to get to this. We learned to call things by their proper names.
We did. Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, so go ahead.
Rice, you are recognized to present your bill.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the Streets Committee. I have a board bill number 4, is a new street in the, it's technically, I guess, the Southwest Garden neighborhood, but this is a completion of the Kingshighway Bridge project. So what happened when the Kingshighway Bridge was built, if you're familiar with the O'Connell's Tavern there, a street kind of there was a negotiation to build around that building there. So there are 2 legs of a street that were named the same thing. We're naming one correctly now so that we don't have the same name on 2 different streets. And I have Jonathan Roper here with planning to talk about the process of the board bill coming through and you know that it came through the planning process and all of that. If do we want to swear him in, Madam Chair, or does it? Okay,
I will do that. Let me run my committee. I promise you.
Oh,
okay?
That's fine. I didn't want to.
Yeah, are going to get put off of my committee.
Absolutely. I just didn't want to defer to him before you had a chance to. So thank
no
you.
problem. I promise you. I was getting that out here. I'm going to read the public hearing procedure. Basic guidelines is whenever we have a public hearing, which we decided that all our hearings are public hearings and people get to testify, then we get to, we have to read a little thing about how they go. I normally do not do it when it's somebody from within our community, being somebody from SLDC or CDA, if it's out the outside public, okay? And especially, we don't have much to worry about when we only have one person, okay? Usually, if it's a lot of people, we will give them a limit of how much they can testify, although the chair is able to extend that. if they want to. We are required to swear you in. And Mr. Roper, you have the ability to affirm or to swear. Which would you prefer?
Affirm, please.
Okay, Mr. Roper, yep. Is your name? State your full name for me, please.
Jonathan Roper.
Okay, and where do you work?
City of St. Louis on behalf of the Planning and Urban Design Agency.
Okay, and Mr. Roper, could you raise your hand, please? Do you affirm that the testimony you're about to give in this cause will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, thank you. All righty. So you have a presentation regarding this board bill?
I have one slide that will kind of show what I'm sorry, two slides. First, I have the street renaming. So as Alderperson Rice has noted that the city of St. Louis has through PDA. So PDA, actually, here we go. PDA, the Planning and Urban Design Agency, is responsible for two types of street renamings. And there's three in the city. There is one which is renaming an existing street. The second one would be renaming of a new street within an approved subdivision. And the third is honorary street renamings, which are not under PDA. So in this case, we have a new subdivision was created during the Kingshighway project, as the other person mentioned, which created this street, which is noted in the dotted blue line here. This did not exist, let's say, before 2010. So during this process, a new street to connect Shaw Avenue west of Kingshighway was created, and also to connect Shaw Boulevard. So to avoid the confusion, Shaw Boulevard would remain extending from Red and kind of go up here and the Kingshighway, and Shaw Avenue, which extends further west, would actually be here. So that's the street renaming. This came about. The Board of Public Service did submit to the Planning Urban Design Agency the submission for the name, so that did come in-house. The submission did come with the approved plat, which did incorporate all signatures from adjoining property owners. So there were two down here, and the O'Connell's piece just above the street rename here. The Plan Commission did hold and recommend approval for this at a planning commission in 2021, and subsequently that was then sent to the Board of Alderman, and now to the Streets and Refuse Division. So at this point, we are between BPS, the submitter of the proposed name, and also PDA and the Planning Commission, that we are recommending approval as submitted for the new street to be named Shaw Avenue, which would extend. So it's not creating a new name, but extends technically Shaw Avenue at this time.
Okay. And so now Shaw Avenue goes into the hill, right?
That's correct. Well, yes.
And then Shaw
Currently,
Boulevard is over by the part of the Botanical Gardens extension, or is that the spaghetti place, or it used to be the spaghetti? What is that now? Because I used to live south. I haven't lived there for a while now. Is that the parking lot for what?
It's a Missouri Botanical Gardens building.
Right.
There,
Okay.
the
So that is that. Right. Okay.
extension. Yes.
Right. Okay. And Mr. Atkinson is not with you, right? Alderwoman Rice.
No.
Okay. All right. Is there anything else, Mr. Roper?
No, I could bring up a street view if you're interested, but otherwise not. No.
Oh, I'm familiar. I lived
Okay.
in the 8th Ward for 8 years, so
Okay,
from in the
wonderful.
early 70s. So I know that route really well of how to get there. Okay, familiar with all of that.
And I would like to know, just in case there was a little confusion about this in the process. So officially, this is the process to name a street in the city of St. Louis. So while that street might have been existing for a while now, a couple of years, it's only when it's officially submitted to PDA that we go through this process. So while there is already there, it's technically not named officially yet, so.
And that's what because I kept thinking it was a typo. So that's what the resubdivision is? Is that what that is?
Yes, so with the re-subdivision, when things get platted, streets are added that didn't exist. That's this case.
But in this case, it existed, it just didn't have a name, right? Because we've been driving over it, right?
Oh, I'm sorry. So let's go back to in 20, actually, I will bring up my screen because it actually will probably get to less confusion real quick. Because this is actually, let's go to, I'm gonna share my screen just one more time.
Mr. Roper, the clerk is asking that you, the clerk is asking you send the presentation to the clerk.
Oh, of course.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So I'm just gonna quickly go to the street. So currently, this is how it exists today. Here's O'Connell's Pub on the left. This is Kingshighway. So I'm gonna go back in time about to 2007.
Can you do that?
Oh yeah, yeah. Under this,
Okay, I like that.
Oh yeah, it's really cool. So before, what existed here, it's actually just private, really property where it just served O'Connell's. So at a certain point, this is 2018, they did the street project, and you could still see construction cones out. So this, you might have been driving on this for the past 4 years. But technically speaking, the approval process for a street name it didn't happen until now. So while you were driving on it, officially it had no name.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So is that why it's called resubdivision? Do you know why that's the name of it?
Oh yes, because the plat that was received from the BPS. In this process, so they actually they have parcels, the building here, the O'Connell's on the left, McGrath on the right. So they actually owned the area that is now the street.
That was private property.
Yeah. So in re-subdividing, they actually retook parts of property and made it into a street. So that was the re-subdivision technically that happened.
Okay. All righty. Okay, Alderwoman Rice, do you have anything else before I ask the committee if they have any questions?
No, I'm grateful to CDA or to planning for finally, getting this process done. I know it's come through several different folks over there. We're grateful that we can get this named. The botanical gardens and the businesses along that area have been plagued by confusion with Google Streets and folks getting directions to those because of the Shaw Avenue and Shaw Boulevard distinction, but we're getting it cleaned up now, and I would be grateful for the committee's favorable consideration of Board Bill 4.
Okay, Alder Boyd is not here. Alderman Vaccaro, do you have any questions?
Excuse me, Madam Chair. No, I have no questions. It sounds good. No, I won't get lost.
Alderwoman Pamela Boyd, do you have any questions?
No, ma'am, Madam Chair.
Alderwoman Schweitzer, any questions?
No questions. Thank you to Mr. Roper for his time and presentation.
So I was there when the Botanical Garden decided that I lived in the 8th ward when they were going to buy that neighborhood. So we lived through all of that. So that's very, I'm smiling because that neighborhood is still there. But at one point, the Botanical Garden thought they were going to buy all the houses right up against 40. That was a fun time. That's what I say. That was back in the 90s. So just smiling a little bit. You don't always get everything you want. Okay, Alderwoman Rice, you can close on Board Bill number 4.
Sure. Just thank you so much for the committee's favorable consideration of Board Bill number 4.
Okay. I'd entertain a motion that Board Bill number 4 be passed out of committee with the due pass recommendation.
So moved. I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second.
Previous row.
Call for previous roll. Any objections to previous roll? Hearing none, Board Bill number 4 is passed out. Board Bill number 4 is passed out with a due pass recommendation. Okay, our next Board Bill is Board Bill number 7, introduced by Alderman Jesse Todd, who wants to be on the street committee. It's a great committee. I don't blame him. I would want, if I wasn't on it, I would want to be on it. If I hadn't served almost 30 years, I would want to be on it too. Board Bill number 8. I'm sorry, Madam Clerk, I didn't have you do the first one. Could you read the introduction to Board Bill number 8, please?
Okay, so it's Board Bill number 8, introduced by Alderman Jesse Todd. An ordinance establishing a two-way stop site at the intersection of Academy Avenue and Raymond Avenue, regulating all traffic traveling northbound and southbound on Academy Avenue at Raymond Avenue, containing an emergency clause.
And then we'll go back to number 7 because I skipped it. Okay. So we'll do 8 since we have it before us. Alderman Todd, you are recognized to present your bill.
First of all, thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, all the people on the street committee. This bill is a very simple bill. The resident called me and told me that she needed a two-way stop sign on that street because people have been just running through the stop sign and it's dangerous. And then there are children who are waiting for the bus, and we certainly don't want an accident to happen either to the children or someone else who's driving off our resident in that area. So that's basically the board bill, and I would like to have the two-way stop sign installed to make it safe.
Okay. And Alderman, is this going to be on? It's going to be on Academy, not Raymond, or is it going to be on Raymond?
I thought it was. It's going to be. I think they have 2 on the east and west of Raymond. I think it's going to be on Academy.
Okay. And Alderman Carl, you have any questions? I know you don't like people to introduce stop signs, but
I love stop signs. I have 2 intersections left, and by golly, we'll get them done. No, I have no questions. Thank you.
okay. Alderwoman Boyd,
No questions.
Alderwoman Schweitzer.
No question.
And entertain a motion that we pass Board Bill number 8 with a due pass recommendation.
I move that we pass Board Bill, was it 28?
Number 8.
Number 8 with due pass recommendations.
And I'll second that and ask for previous roll.
I have a motion and a second. Call for previous roll. Any objections to previous roll? Hearing none, Board Bill 8 is passed out with the due pass recommendation. We'll go back to number 7, also by Alderman Todd. Alderman Todd, you recognize to present Board Bill number 7 to the committee.
And number 7 is the street humps.
No, that is close, the street closure of West Belle.
The street closure.
I'm sorry, yeah, and I'm sorry, just a minute. Madam Clerk, would you please read the introduction to Board Bill number 7?
Board Bill 7, introduced by Alderman Jesse Todd, an ordinance authorizing and directing the Director of Streets to permanently close, barricade, or otherwise impede the flow of traffic on the 4,000 block of West Belle Place by blocking said traffic flow at the east curb line of North Sarah Street at the intersection of West Belle Place and North Sarah Street.
Okay, now Alderman, you are recognized to present your Board Bill number 7 to the committee.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, all the people of the street committee. We have Turner Park at Sarah and West Belle, and people leaving the get involved in activities, and when they leave the park, sometimes there's again a speeding, disrupting the quality of life of the residents on West Belle. So I had a request from the block unit and the resident to close it off so that it would reduce the danger of some people who we feel are speeding too much, and then they're driving reckless. So, and then it would quiet it would calm the traffic down too, and especially because we have kids and elderly people and other people using the park, and so it's a safety factor as well as a traffic calming factor. So that's the reason for it.
Okay, and so did you do a petition or anything like that, or you just
we have a block, no ma'am, we have a block unit, and also the residents called me on several occasions to block it off.
Okay, so you had the block unit asking and the residents, right?
Yes.
Okay, and it's right there by that beautiful new park that's not new anymore, but a few years old, right there at Sarah and West Belle. So you'll be able to drive east to Sarah and then it'll be blocked right there, right?
Right.
Okay,
You would be able to drive west to, from Vanderbilt, you would be able to drive west to Sarah,
right,
and then it'll be blocked. That's correct.
okay. All right. Alderman McCarl, any questions?
No, Madam Chair, I'm good.
Alderwoman Boyd,
No questions.
Alderwoman Schweitzer?
No questions.
I have no questions. Okay. Alderman Todd, you are recognized to close
Well,
on Board Bill number 7.
thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you again, all the people of the street committee. I'm asking for favorable consideration of this board bill for the safety and the traffic calming of West Belle.
I'll make I'm sorry.
I'd entertain a motion that we pass out Board Bill number 7 with the due pass recommendation.
I'll make the motion. We pass Board Bill 7 out with the due pass recommendation.
Second.
Previous roll.
We have a motion, a second, and a call for previous roll. Any objections for previous roll? Hearing none, Board Bill number 7 is passed out with a due pass recommendation. Okay, then the next Board Bill we have is Board Bill number 9. Madam Clerk, would you please read the introduction to Board Bill number 9, which is also by Alderman Jesse Todd.
Board Bill 9, introduced by Alderman Jesse Todd, pursuant to ordinance number 70333, as amended by ordinance number 71394, an ordinance directing the Director of Streets to install speed humps to calm the flow of traffic on the 700 block of Albert, 5100 block of Cabaney, 3730 block of Cook, 4100 block of CD Banks, 4400 block of Enright, 3700 block of Finney, 3800 block of Finney, 5000 block of Minerva, 5000 block of Ridge, 4300 block of Washington, and the 5000 block of Vernon, and the 5100 block of Vernon.
Okay. Alderman Todd, you are recognized to present your Board Bill.
Again, the residents on several of the residents on each one of those blocks called, and we also have a neighborhood association that in each area that has been concerned about the dangerous driving on those streets. And so to make it safe and to calm down traffic, I'm requesting that that one speed hump on each block be installed. And so I feel that this will make it safer for the residents and drivers, as well as anyone in the neighborhood that is walking or driving.
Okay, and so the streets are Albert, Cabaney, Cook, CD Banks, Enright, Finney, Minerva, Ridge, Washington, Vernon. Is that correct?
I thought Case was in there too, the 50 block of Case, because that was the amended. They're supposed to have been the amended.
Okay, wait a minute. We got. Okay, this is the original Board Bill.
That's why it was amended to include Case, because that was the original. Those were the original streets, but Case was added at the suggestion of Attorney Galley.
Okay, then we're going to have to bring that Board Bill before us. I'm so sorry. Thank you for reminding me. Does anybody have the Board Bill Committee substitute in their drive? Maybe I need to refresh my drive. Oh, here it is, marked copy. Okay. Okay, and Kate's is, okay, I'd entertain a motion that we, that Board Bill number 9 committee substitute be introduced so they can come before us.
So moved.
Second.
Previous roll.
Motion move second, previous roll, the Board Bill number 9 committee substitute be brought before the committee. And so the only difference in Board Bill 9 and Board Bill 9 committee substitute is that the addition of Kate's, is that correct, Alderman Todd?
Yes, that's correct, Madam Chair.
Okay. So since we have the Board Bill before us, the committee substitute, and there's no difference except for the addition of Kate's, I don't think we need to discuss this any further. I'd entertain a motion that Board Bill number 9 committee substitute be passed out with a due pass recommendation.
So moved.
Second.
Previous roll.
Previous.
Roll.
Got a motion, a second, and previous roll that Board Bill number 9 committee substitute be passed out with a due pass recommendation. Any objections to previous roll? Hearing none, Board Bill number 9 is passed out with the due pass recommendation. Not number 9 committee substitute. Okay. Alderwoman Boyd, you are next.
Oh, Chairwoman Tyson, sorry, I had my hand up.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
That's okay. I just had a quick question. I didn't miss item number 1, Board Bill 3 somehow, did I?
No,
I
you
think
did.
that
I
was-
said that we were going
Okay.
past that. I'm gonna
Okay,
do
just
that
making
last,
sure I didn't miss
because I
it.
want to address the Alderwoman and her actions. So that will be last.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Okay. Next one is item number 6, which is Board Bill number 13, introduced by Alderwoman Pamela Boyd. I'm sorry, Madam Clerk, would you please read the introduction to Board Bill number 13?
Board Bill 13, introduced by Alderwoman Pamela Boyd, pursuant to ordinance number 70333, as amended by ordinance number 71394, and ordinance directing the Director of Streets to install speed humps to calm the flow of traffic on a 5300 block of Arlington between the intersection of Arlington and Thekla and Arlington and Horney, and on the 4700 block of Beacon between the intersection of Beacon and Prang Avenue and Beacon Avenue and Bercher Avenue, on the 4700 block of Genevieve Avenue between the intersection of Genevieve Avenue and Prang Avenue and Genevieve Avenue and Bercher Avenue.
Okay. Alderwoman Boyd, you can present your Board Bill to the committee.
Thank you, Madam Chair and the board and the committee, I'm sorry. The Streets Committee. I wanted to ask for the approval of this Board Bill from the Street Committee in regards to the speed bumps, because we did get petitions from the residents and we did meet and talk. The police did do a study to see the traffic, the speeding of the traffic. And ironically, some of the streets, people were going the wrong way down the streets. So it was a whole big issue that we had to deal with, to the point where we had to block off a street to keep people from actually going the wrong way down the street and speeding down the street. And so it was, we had a couple of children that almost got hit on Arlington due to the high speeds that people were. And then nobody was chasing them. They were just driving at an astronomical rate of speed. So I asked that the committee approve this so we can move forward. These people have been dealing with this. And in that area is pretty norm over there. And that's what I'm trying to change. I'm trying to change the atmosphere that it should be an exception and not a rule. So that's why these speed bumps are being put over there.
At first I want to say, I spearheaded the speed hump Board Bill. And even before that, I have put speed humps almost in most of my residential streets in all my neighborhoods. I want to say it's been the best thing that has happened. I have 5 neighborhoods that I represent. And we have gone with, I do petitions and we do a long-term thing and a plan. And I was getting pictures of people, because my streets are very straight. If you go to the 4700 block, 4600, you could drive straight through from the 4th ward to the 1st ward to the 22nd ward. And that's what people have been used to doing. And we had blocked off some streets, but the streets we didn't block off, we put speed humps. over in the Mark Twain area, next adjacent to what you're doing. We put speed humps in Penrose. We put speed humps in Kingsway East and Kingsway West on residential streets. And it has made the difference in night and day with not having anybody. This is the first summer, and I don't know when, which nobody has called me and talked about the speeding, except for a few more streets that we have to do. It's been a very good thing. When we were introducing this board bill, there were some people on the board saying, oh, no, you need a study. You don't need a citywide study for residential streets. If you were talking about doing this on Kingshighway and Grand and major streets, maybe, but you do not need a study for residential streets, because it does not stop people from going down your streets. It just slows them down. I actually brought the press out. Somebody from the mayor's office, Nancy Cross, came out, oh, you ought to wait, tried to bring me to task, but she didn't know what she was talking about. I heard the other day the mayor's office bragging about the speed humps, which they are a good thing, and they are saving lives, and they're not bumps, which a lot of people have. They're not as high, but they really do calm things down, and they make people go to secondary streets and larger streets, which we still have to address that issue. And the issue that you talked about going down the one-way street, that's another thing. I have a suggestion for that. The streets department doesn't like it, but I'm going to push it again. They didn't like speed humps years ago when we talked about it, but we are going to have to do something about people going down one-way streets. And I intend to bring that up. I actually sent them some pictures of what they do. And that is something we're going to have to address, because we do not have enough traffic control in our city.
Right.
And I get it all the time about West Florissant. They named that one of, you and I share that as one of the most dangerous streets in the city. Yeah. And they drive just like it's a highway. Kingshighway is like that, Union, Riverview, just all the streets, Grand, Gravois, Broadway. It is not in one part of town, it's in all parts of town. And it's a miracle that we don't have more people hurt. Natural Bridge, so many people got killed at Fair and Natural Bridge that they did some pretty dramatic things on that end of the Natural Bridge. But it's all because we do not have the presence of police, and I'm talking about traffic control, that I think that we need. So we are having to go to other devices. And I do believe speed humps are a very good device to use. And I am with speed humps the same way the alderman from the 23rd is about a stop sign. If I can put it there and it slows you down, I will do it. Okay, saying all of that. Alderman Vaccaro, do you have any questions?
No, Madam Chair.
Okay, Alderwoman Boyd, I guess you don't have your own questions for yourself. Alderwoman Schweitzer, do you have any questions?
No questions, thank you.
Okay. Alderwoman Boyd, do you have anything else? Because you're free to close on Board Bill 13, which addresses a multiple amount of speed humps in the 27th Ward.
No, the only thing I want to add, because Alderwoman Tyus is correct when they were talking about a study, but what we did, what I had the residents do, they pulled the reports from the police department that told how many property damage, how many fatalities. And so they didn't like it at first, but then they started to see how it benefited them, because that tightened their case even more. And so I think with the residents, I'm only supporting what their wants are, and they know that it's a safety thing for the kids and the property value and the property over in that area. So again, I ask for the support of the Streets Committee.
Okay, I'd entertain a motion that Board Bill 13 be passed out with a do pass recommendation.
I'll move we pass lucky number 13 out with a do pass recommendation.
Second.
In previous roll.
We have a motion, second, and previous roll. Any objections to previous roll? Board Bill number 13 is passed out with a do pass recommendation. Thank you, Alderwoman.
Thank you.
I see that the Alderwoman from the 26th has invited a lot more people. I forgot when the clerk sent me that this morning. So I'm saying we don't have anybody, but in the meantime, She snuck in all of the 26 ward to testify. I'm gonna let her do that. This is her first time getting the speed humps. And I want you all to know, I hear from all of your constituents across the city saying, I want speed humps. And several of them I know, and they'll say like, how do you have all the speed humps? So they think I'm hoarding all the speed humps over in the first ward. So I want to hurry up and get speed humps other places in North St. Louis. So that rumor that I'm taking them all is proven not true. Okay, we're going to start with board. Before we do this, since the Alderwoman has several guests, we're going to swear them in, all that are here. Is Miss Watson here?
She didn't make it on.
Okay. Gilmore? Arisa Gilmore? Okay, we're going to swear you in all at the time. Caradine?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, Candace, we don't have a last name?
It's Candace Williams.
Candace Williams? Okay.
I see her, but I don't see her. Okay.
Candace? Can you hear us?
I can hear you.
Okay, we're gonna all swear you in at the same time. Marco Felix?
Present.
Okay, all righty. Michael Atkinson, I know I saw you right there. And then
Yes, I'm here.
right, and Lisa Potts.
She sent a written statement.
Okay,
She couldn't
great.
get on.
Okay, so would all of you all raise your hand, and I'm going to do affirmation since some people might want affirmation and some raise your right hand and some might want to do would do swearing in. Do you affirm that the testimony you're about to give in this case will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Yes. Yes.
I do.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. So we're going to start with Board Bill number 15. I'm not going to limit you. I should be reading about the public hearing speech, which I read already. But because this is the only one that we have people and it's two board bills, I'm not going to limit you. You don't have to convince us much anyway. Okay. I'm a supporter. Board Bill number 15. Madam Clerk, would you read Board Bill number 15, the introduction?
Board Bill 15, introduced by Alderwoman Shameen Clark Hubbard. An ordinance authorizing and directing the Director of Streets to permanently close, barricade, or otherwise impede the flow of traffic on Maryville Avenue, approximately 580 feet south of the south curb line of Maple Avenue.
Okay. Alderwoman, you're free to present your board bill.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman, members of the committee, and my constituents that took the time out to be on the call this morning. So this is these two bills, 15 and 17, just as a background before they start speaking, are companion bills. What we're dealing with over there is a heartbreaking level of criminal activity going on. And if you can envision a U-shaped area, these two streets, Maryville and Laurel, meet in a U-shape out of the 5800 block of Maple. I want to be clear because I think there's some misunderstanding going on and going around, especially within my constituency, that Maple is going to be blocked, and it's not. Maple is not going to be blocked at all. What happens is we're putting in shamal pots, so they're pots that block and impede traffic, and there'll be midways in between Maryville, and Laurel. Maple, again, will not be blocked at all. Speed humps are coming on Maple, but Maple will not be blocked. This has happened and taken place just west of this of these blocks and Maple Place, and both of these streets butt up against Hodiamont, which is why I mentioned it. It's a companion bill with blocking Hodiamont as well. We had this same kind of activity going on. If you can imagine, it's almost like a drug dealing drive-through where the cars come. Sometimes they don't stop. They throw the drugs to each other. They line up and the drug dealer passes the drugs through the windows. It's just insane. We have daycares around this area. We have constituencies that have lived there for generations in their homes and have been dealing with this even far before I got in office. And they have proof of that via emails, via reports, via everything. So they've tried. We've put the cameras over there, the Sky Cops. We put dummy cars over there. We've tried everything. This now is another attempt where we've seen it work. We've seen this work again just west of them in a U shape like this by blocking the street and then blocking the holding mile tracks, because they will meet and block and throw stuff over into their areas through the holding mile tracks. They're really tricky with this stuff. But the streets department, we met with the streets department. We met with our first responders, Captain Mueller, who Fifth District Captain Mike Mueller, who recommended this, and our neighborhood nuisance property officer, Officer Connors, who recommended this along with the constituency. This is a shot, this is a chance for us to try something different, something we haven't tried in the decades, and get this done and hopefully make this safer for the area over there. So I did open up, just like we do the petitions and we open it up for our constituency. I invited them on here so that you can hear how serious it is. Mind you, in the past, it's been able to just been done with a phone call. And we understand that the things have changed now. And so we had to go through this extra steps in the process. But we want to go ahead and get it done and try this to improve the safety. So I asked our clerk, because I'm stuck on mommy duty in the parking lot. My daughter had a dental emergency, so I don't have my computer with me. I'm on my phone. I've sent her 3 written comments I asked her to read, and then I would like to open it up for any of my constituents that want to testify as well.
Okay, Madam Clerk, do you have the written comments available to you?
And if they didn't come through, I can read them. I just would have to turn my camera off to go to that screen to read them. And I didn't know if you would accept me reading them with my camera off.
It's better if we have somebody who's on screen.
Yeah.
Okay. Did they come through, Madam Clerk? Madam Clerk?
Sorry, is it just one from Lisa Potts?
There was one from a Justin Atkinson and then Lisa Potts. And I did have one from Miss Williams, but I see her on the call, so maybe she'll want to speak hers verbally herself.
I also sent one in, Mike Atkinson.
But since you're on the call, we don't do both, right?
Okay.
Mhm.
So if you can resend the other one, I have the one for Lisa Potts. I can read that whenever you're ready.
Okay, and I'll resend Justin Atkinson. Okay.
All right, Madam Clerk, read the first one and we'll wait for the other one to hit you.
My name is Lisa Potts. I live at 5863 Cavaney Avenue. I live behind or in front of the Holdermont tracks. I am in full support of placing Potts barriers to block the street at the cul-de-sac of Laurel and Maryville to stop negative and excessive traffic, what appears to be drug sales. Neighbors have reported to me that people jump my fence trying to get to Cavaney without going around. I am fearful that someone will try and break into my home. Please also consider putting a barricade on the track as well, because if you block traffic on the street, you would just shift it to the tracks, putting it closer to my house and creating a raceway of dangerous activity. I'm on the committee for the redevelopment of the Holdermont tracks into regional greenway. We don't need a new problem of drug activity. Thank you. Respectfully submitted, Lisa Potts, the 5800 block of Cavaney Avenue.
Okay, thank you. Were you able to resend the other one, Alderwoman, from the 26th?
Yes, I tried to resend. I'm not sure if it came through. That's from a Justin Atkinson.
Okay, if it didn't, we're just gonna let the Alderwoman from the 26th read it. Go ahead and read.
I'm sorry, I have it.
Oh, she has it, okay.
This is for Justin Atkinson. Is it Atkinson? Resident.
Yes.
Residents. I'm sorry, greeting. As a resident that lives between Maryville and Laurel, I would rather see the Holdermont suburban track between Hamilton and Goodfellow blocked off before our residential street. Blocking off our residential street will only worsen the problem, as it would be the perfect place for cars to sit idle all night. I would completely rather have cameras and signs on the street that connects Maryville and Laurel, as well as signs at the entrance off Maple to both Maryville and Laurel, noting that cameras are in use. Having concrete barriers in between Maryville and Laurel will also be a major inconvenience to our residents that are lucky to have access to their homes either way. Most suspicious activity does happen late at night in the suburban Holdemont tracks. What I believe would be the best idea is to paint the curbs yellow for no parking on both sides of the street with at least 40 feet of clearance away from the last residence on those curbs. If this parking measure can be enforced, that would be amazing. Thank you, Justin Atkinson.
Okay, before we go any further, I have a question, Alderwoman from the 26th. Is the Holdemont path, isn't that privately owned? Do you know?
It's right. It's maintained right now by state, but it's kind of like maybe a MOU somewhere somehow. But us doing this has been cleared through not only them but also who's working on that the Great Rivers Greenway. I get them mixed up sometimes, because there's a big effort and a big push now to get that cleaned up. But they also know, because of how engaged these constituents are over there about this problem, and they are 100% on board with us blocking that. Again, just the same way it's blocked going west, and we've seen it work. We've seen this work for them.
Well, I know it's blocked right by Kingshighway, between Kingshighway and Euclid, over by the gas station over there. So. Okay, and then I guess up further near to Sodan, it's blocked up there too. So, right. Okay. All right. Just wanted to check. All right. So then we have some people that are here.
I'm sorry, Madam Chair, it's one more from
okay. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, she's on the call, so I didn't know if she wanted to go ahead and speak hers instead of us reading it, or did you want us to read it, Ms. Williams?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I can speak it.
Okay. So we can go ahead and start with her and I guess Mr. Atkinson, and then finish up with Miss Gilmore and Miss Caradine.
All right, Miss Williams, go ahead.
Okay, I live at 932 and own the lot at 928. And
932 and 928 what?
Maryville.
Okay.
So they would be blocking right next to my lot. I've been over here for about 27 years. The activity over here is not new. What I'm hearing is that it has increased. There's been some speculation that there's a house at the opposite end of Maryville on the same side of the street, which is the east side of Maryville, which is the side I live on, that this particular house is partly responsible for the activity that's happening on this part of Maryville. I dispute that. I don't doubt that the people there are doing things that they shouldn't be doing, but the activity on this curve, on this U between Maryville and Laurel has been happening for the 20 some odd years I've been here. I have not heard sound evidence as to what happens, though we don't get a lot of emergencies. What happens when you block this street and emergency vehicles need to come through? There's a 72 passenger school bus that comes through during the school year. What happens with all of these things? And if anybody has an event over here, it's already difficult to park or find parking or get around the curbs here. I'm really on the fence with this, but I'm leaning toward do not block Maryville. I am all for blocking the Holdemont tracks. That's all I got.
All right, thank you. Alderwoman, who's the next person you would like to speak?
Mr. Atkinson.
Hello, I'm Mike Atkinson. I was born at 932 Laurel, and originally this street was blocked off. There was an old switch house for the streetcar, a residential home on Maryville, and then on Laurel, it was a residential house. Mayor Savani's knocked those houses down because that lot that Candace Williams was talking about was a family home, and a young child was trapped up there who expired due to the fire, and there was another fire at 938. So these were open for that reason. And then I'm for blocking off the Holdemont tracks but we also have a church in the 900 block of Maryville Maple. And when they have a funeral or an event at the church, there's several cars coming down here, parking or getting through here. As Candace say, when there's an event over here, there's hell to pay trying to get out of here. We had a multiple automobile accident a couple of weeks ago. I sent you, Shameen, pictures of that, where the fire department blocked off Maple, which is the connecting street to Maryville Laurel. And several of the vehicles had to come through here, even trucks and a bus. And it's hard for them to turn around to get out of here. And as I said earlier, we had a fire here back in the 60s. And we also did a study with one of the police chiefs. Isom, I believe, was at the table then, which, as you know, most of the police chiefs have come from the 7th District. And he did a study back in those days about blocking off this area. The police do not like coming down a blocked area, even though they should. But he said, reality, they don't want to turn around. But please, for the sake of myself, my 95-year-old mother, the fire hydrants that don't work, and the police or the firemen are able to bring the hose from the other street down here. So I'm totally against blocking off Maryville. And the tracks is fine to block off because that's not too much traffic. And we do need the speed bumps on Maple for the church because little kids almost got hit a couple of weeks ago. And that's all I have to say. Thank you, Ms. Hubbard, and
Thank you.
the committee.
Okay. So I have that Miss Candace Williams is opposed to blocking off Maryville, and Mr. Michael Atkinson, is it? What is it?
Atkinson.
Son. It's Atkinson.
Atkinson. Okay, both of you all are opposed to close the Maryville. All right,
And
thank you.
Justin was also.
Okay. Okay, Alderwoman, who's the next person you want to testify?
Erica Gilmore.
I'm here.
Okay,
My name, can everyone hear me?
yes.
Okay, my name is Erica Gilmore, and I also am a long-term resident of the 900 block of Laurel. Though I left for 10 years, I have been back here consecutively for the past 31. I am empathetic to the needs of my fellow neighbors, Mr. Atkinson, and also to Ms. Williams. However, the things I want to address is what I see occur on my end of the block, on the east, both sides of the 900 block. It was stated, and I can't remember by whom, that most of the drug sales occurs during the evening hours or the night hours or the early hours. I own a daycare. I'm one of 2 licensed daycares on the 900 block of Laurel. And I can tell you what I see in the morning. I see excessive speeds coming around there. I see the same vehicles coming around. I see cars that lurk and park coming around that we have not been able to identify. And though there are some that we can identify from the block of Maryville, I have seen this go in cycles that have pretty much depend on the resources that are available from our city. And I speak about the police. There was a time where community policing did work. And we worked in succession with each other with Maryville and Laurel. We could make a phone call. We had a phone tree and we could do that. They had cameras that worked. The cameras do not work now. They had police decoys that the cameras that actually worked on the cars, they do not work now. And the resources are limited in terms of sending the police. When we make the calls and when we work in conjunction with our public safety people, we will get a temporary drive-by from them, but we need this 24 hours. We need this 24 hours. And I see no other alternative And I'm in agreement that both areas need to be blocked.
Thank you.
Okay, wait a minute.
Thank
So you are in support of closing Maryville?
Yes, I am.
Okay, and you support of the speed humps?
Yes, I am.
Alderwoman, anybody else?
Miss Caradine.
Good morning. I don't know why, I don't know if you guys can see me because on my end, I can't see me, but
No.
Good morning, everyone.
Wait a minute, hold on. To testify, we need to see you. Is your camera maybe covered up?
No, it's not. No, ma'am, it's not. I don't know why you can't see me, but.
Yeah, and I could see you earlier in the meeting.
Well, I'm
saw
on
your
here.
face. Yeah, I saw you when you got sworn in.
Right, so something changed. Are you sure you didn't cover your camera?
I didn't cover anything, ma'am, and I'm looking at my camera. The light is on. I don't know how I'm going to get this done because my input to me is very important because all of the drug activity is taking place on the side of my house.
Wait, so what we're going to do, I'm going to let you testify, but I'm going to need you, since we can't see your face, to do a written statement also, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
So I'll let you testify because I don't want to keep you, since you came here, I want to encourage citizens to come. But I would also ask you to submit something in writing so that we can put that before the committee, okay?
Yes, ma'am, I can do that. Thank you for allowing me to speak.
All right, go ahead.
Along with Ms. Gilmore and Mr. Atkinson, I too am a long-term resident of the 900 block of Laurel, 64 years. I do know, and I do remember when the houses on the street were torn down, like Mr. Atkinson mentioned. I don't recall the reasoning why, but I do know at that time, several blocks of streets connected to the Holderman tracks where houses were torn down and they blocked off the streets. So anyways, to get to the main point of this, the drug activities was taking place on the side of my house. I myself had to install cameras because no one was saying to me, hey, are you seeing this drug activity taking place all day, all night on the side of your home? I too have a home daycare. I have grandchildren that lives in my home. At one point, myself and Ms. Gilmore spoke to a couple of the ladies on Maryville, Ms. Williams being one of them, and they're explaining to us that they believe that this house on Maryville that Ms. Williams spoke of when she had the chance to speak was just selling weed. Drugs is drugs. Regardless if it's weed, meth, fentanyl, it brings traffic, it brings unwanted guests. I'm just fearful of my life on this corner because it was so much taking place and no one was sharing it with me that I had to put cameras up. So I'm for blocking off the Holderman tracks. I'm for blocking off the side street that curves around to Maryville. It will be an inconvenience for like Mr. Atkinson that can drive straight up the street from his home to his mother's home, but he can also use Maple to come down Laurel. Miss Candace, yes, she does come down Laurel and park in front of her house, but she will still have the opportunity to drive down Maryville with the youth, park in front of her house. Our thing is safety. It's not about convenience. And to me, as residents over here dealing with this, all of us should want safety over convenience. Police officers can get up and down a one-way street. The fire trucks can get up and down a one-way street. Our fire hydrants do work. They turn them on every now and then to run water down the sewer drains. So it's more of a safety issue than a convenience issue. And I'm for both the Holderman tracks and the Maryville Laurel blockage. Thank you.
Okay, and you will give us a written statement as soon as possible, right?
Yes, ma'am, I will not forget.
Okay, Alderwoman, any more?
I don't see any more because I don't see the pastor from the church on anymore. But when he reached out to me, I will say when we communicated this morning, he was not for or against in any way. He was more concerned about the speed humps, which the speed humps is an additional bill that's not on this bill. Again, there's some confusion with this. And before I close, I did want to touch on that again, the confusion of Maple. Maple will not be blocked in any way. So just as other streets have one-way passage going in and out, especially over there in the West End, there are a lot of blocked and private streets. It'll be the same way. And Miss Candace, you know, you and I discussed this, and we talked about this being an option and us trying this, and that this will not block your parking in any kind of way, because the planters will actually be further east than your landline. The reason the streets department came over and looked and chose that going further east instead of in the middle is because in the middle, when they've done this, in order for it to work, if there is land on the opposite sides, they have seen the criminal activity jump to the land and go around those barriers. And so they chose to not put them up by your house, to put them further down east, closer to Mrs. Carradine's property line, because there's some foliage and some things that will block them from the planters, from them jumping up on the land outside of the planters. As it relates to the first responders being able to come out of there, when we had Captain Mueller on, and when we've done this before in the past in other areas, this is a coordinated response. So the first responders will know that it's blocked beyond street signs. Street signs will go up automatically and everything, but they will also know when they're on calls that, hey, this is blocked now. Just going to a private street or a newly blocked street with the gates are high, you know, the different ways we block them in the city. So again, I am sensitive to everyone's concerns about this, but I'm also sensitive to some of the community that's been dealing with decades of this, and it's clearly getting worse, more blatant. We had a sky cop, and if someone's listening and doesn't know what a sky cop is, a sky cop are those mobile cameras with the several cameras around it that you sit. They were parking and doing their activity right around that. So cameras, they help and everything, and I'm for cameras, but this is now another option for us to try to clean that neighborhood and clean that community up, which again, they have emails, they've been dealing with this for decades. So I'm asking on behalf of the consensus of those two blocks for favorable consideration and due pass recommendation on this bill. And Ms. Brown again and Mr. Atkinson, you know, I'm fully accessible on this conversation, and we can keep this conversation going. And if this doesn't change anything, then the pots can be moved. But we have to go through this. Now we have to try on behalf of you all and your safety. Like Ms. Carradine said, I believe we have to try. Thank you.
Say something.
Wait. No. You cannot run my meeting. Okay.
Oh,
you have to ask that. Okay. First, I have a question for Alderwoman Clark Hubbard. I have a lot of streets that are closed off, and what I have done now, and I don't know if you talked to Donald Williams about them at all, I've been ordering removable ballards, which then if it's a public safety thing, that the fire department or whatever, they have a key, they can unlock it. And so that makes it easier if there's going to be a problem of trying to turn around and get back out of that street. So I actually ordered some extra ones. So as I close streets, we can close them and do that. So I just want to tell you, as that's something you might talk to Donald Williams, right? Because that is, we're putting them in parks where people are driving through our pathways. That way they can unlock them, take the ballard out, and then they can go in and cut the grass. We put them at, we have one at the 5200 block of Wabata near Union. So just to tell you, that's another tool that they may not have told you. And that helps ease people's mind when they know that instead of having to back around and get out, they can just move that ballard, and they have a key to it, the fire department, and get out of that. So that's just a suggestion. It's not for you to have to do that. And other things, she is right. You can remove those pots if it doesn't work. Okay, Mr. Atkinson, you had another statement?
I would just like to add this, and you can look. The police, when they get calls from this area, they know how many people call in this area. And I have met with Captain Mueller several times, and a lot of that footage was from my camera. And those people that are talking about blocking this off, they don't call. As you know, they have a record of the police calls from this area. And I'm proud to say I am one of the nuisance caller. And they want to block something off. And when you block it off, it's going to give them people some place to sit and sit. And as I said, We did a study several years ago about this, and all that does is stop the police from coming down here, which they barely do anyway, which they are busy. But when they don't get calls from this area, they go somewhere else. And as you know, you can talk to the police and find out how many calls came from this area. And there's very few. And I'm one of the few that call. And I thank you for your time. And point of order, I was not trying to overrun your meeting. And I request that you excuse my interruption.
No, not a problem at all, okay?
Don't move.
That's one of my things I tell my people who are not on my committee who are on the board also, okay? I promise you I will try to let people, I believe in citizen input, and I am one of the people, if you ever watched the board, I've been on the board for 30 years, I believe in input, so I don't cut people off, but we have to have order. Okay?
Yeah.
And once you say, may I speak again, because you actually have a way to raise your hand, but then you have to wait and let the chair recognize you, okay?
Yes, I
All right.
understand. Point of order. Thank you,
All
ma'am.
right, not a problem. Okay, Alderwoman. Yes.
Oh, I was just gonna say for Mr. Atkinson, yes, he is one of the people that calls the most, that have been talking to Captain Mueller, and Captain Mueller on the column, I think we have that one recorded, as well as the one that recommended these pots. And we didn't know about the ballots. I'm definitely gonna check into those ballots. The reason he thought about the pots was because we felt it was going to be quicker. It has ended up not being quicker, but yeah, but still, you know, with that being said, because he's seen it work in other areas, because of the amount of calls and what he's seen, and his guys, they have been over there, they have been doing, you know, the patrolling, but you heard me say about how they have it where they'll line up the cars, throw the stuff in the car, and they keep moving so fast, you know, so by the time we get them over there, they're gone, and we can try to track cars and all that, but this will just, you know, push them out, because I want to make sure everybody can envision this. This is a U. The major street is Maple, but this is a street, a good street block, but and then it comes meets in a U. So it's not impeding or stopping anything on Maple or on Maryville or Laurel for that fact. It's just the middle part, which no homes are on that stretch. The homes that are on are back up onto that stretch. So it does, you know, really, if you're not coming to those people's homes, Miss Williams or Mrs. Caradine or the other homes, Mr. Atkinson around there, that traffic, all of that traffic, as far as I'm concerned, is a nuisance at that point, because you can't go anywhere else but their properties. So this is just, again, an attempt, and it was brought on by not just the constituency, but our first responders, to try to get that neighborhood and get that area cleaned up one way or another, since we tried all the other ways. And with that, I close again. And
we're not closing yet, because we have to ask for if anybody has questions on the committee. So I'll let you know.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
No problem. But I do want to tell you that the pots are faster, but once you can get those ballots, then you can take the pots and move them further away, and then put the ballots in, and then that way, it is hard for a big fire truck maybe to have to back up. So if you could just move them and they can drive through, that alleviates. Somebody is giving a feedback, so turn your mics off if you're not being recognized. But it will give you an easier way to get out, so that the fire trucks don't have to back up. They can just drive through. Police cars can do it just like regular cars, but those big long trucks, that helps people feel a little better about it. That's what I'm saying. I want people to know, wait. You're only, with public hearings, you're only supposed to be able to speak once for or against it, okay? We're not in a debate. You get to say your piece. I'm going to give you a chance to say, the two people have their hands up to say something, but that's going to be it, okay? Because then we're going to let the committee ask the Alderwoman any questions, and then she's going to be able to close. And she is a representative. So we have heard your concerns either way, pro or con. And so we're not going to go back and forth. So, but since Mrs. Gilmore has her hand up, I'm going to recognize her, and then I see Ms. Williams, and then we're going to go to the committee to let them ask questions of the sponsor. Yes, Ms. Gilmore?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
I was just going to respond to the amount of calling to the police, but then as you explain it, it's really no need. I don't call Captain Mueller, but I know how to dial 911. And I've dialed 911 so many times. I've been put on hold. I've been dropped from 911, and there has been no response from 911. And I've been doing that for 30 years. Thank
Yes,
you.
ma'am. Thank you. Okay. And put your hand down, please.
Okay. I'm trying.
It's where you say raise your hand. If you there you go. Okay.
Okay.
Mrs. Williams, I really do appreciate all of you coming. I love to
Me
see
too.
citizens engaged. Okay.
Yes, yes.
Ms. Williams.
Okay, thank you for allowing me to speak a second time. I did have a conversation with Alderwoman, and in that conversation, I wanted something that was not actually those pots. I asked her about a fence. So I appreciate you adding that there is an alternative to having these pots, and that gate thing that you're talking about, I'm not really sure what you called it, but
I called it a removable ballards. So they're like poles.
Yes.
And you will see the poles, okay? But they're removable. So you can, if the fire department comes, instead of having to back down the street, they just unlock those poles and drive straight through.
I think that would be a good option I think that's a good compromise for what is trying to be done.
But it takes, let me tell you this, it does take a long time. So in my community, I put the pots, but as soon as the ballots came in, I replaced them with that, okay? So, and if you, I represent, if you drive down Kingshighway between Martin Luther King all the way to West Florissant, you'll see all those streets that are closed. I did that, okay? The 4,900 blocks, that's where I live. We did that years ago. People complained and said that, oh, we're not gonna be able to get the emergency vehicles in. We're not going to be able to do this. Now those same people, if you try to open those streets back up, you better get off the street in a hurry, okay? So, because they will hurt you if they talk. Yeah. And so you will find out it's not what you think. And I invite you to come to my neighborhood and look. And now we've put gates, but for long times we had the Shamal pots. And then in the 50, I also represent 50 through the 5,200 blocks. And the people on that side, because I represent Kingsway East and Kingsway West, they didn't want to do it years ago. And then when I came back, because I left the board for 10 years because I was racially gerrymandered. And when I came back, then they all wanted it. And when we started closing their streets off, they're like, this is amazing. So sometimes you anticipate problems that don't happen. But in the meantime, they had come up with these removable ballards. So if you go to the 5,200 block of Wabata, you'll see the Shamal pots, but there's also some ballards so that if the fire department needs to get through, you unlock that ballard and drive through, so you don't have to worry about backing back down. And it's closer to the Union end, so you can go and look at it and see it yourself if you need to see it.
Thank you.
Go ahead. I'm sorry, Ms. Williams.
So I actually grew up in the 4,800 block of St. Louis Avenue, so
Okay.
I'm familiar with the streets over there as well.
Okay.
I've only been over here for about 27 years, but I think that would be a good, like I say, compromise for what's being done. It eliminates the issue of the emergency vehicles not being able to get through. So if that's the ultimate goal, is to deter the traffic and ensure the safety, then let's try that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Okay. We've let everybody have a chance to speak. We do have a committee. Alderman McCarl, do you have any questions or concerns?
I have no questions or concerns. The Alderwoman should know her neighborhood better than anyone, so I'm with her. Oh.
Haven't been there. I know you do.
Okay, Alderwoman.
Right here in this area, so we're looking for you.
Alderwoman Boyd, you have any questions or concerns?
As it relates to prostate cancer, that's quite a statistic to know.
Wait a minute. Somebody needs everybody turn their cameras, their mics off.
I have no questions. Okay.
Alderwoman Boyd, you have any questions or concerns? You have any
She
questions?
said no. She said no. It looks like she's at that press conference. So
oh, okay.
Here.
Okay. All right. Alderwoman Schweitzer.
No, thank you. No questions or concerns.
Okay. Then I'd entertain a motion that we pass out Board Bill 15 with a due pass recommendation.
So moved.
Second. Previous roll. We have a motion and a second that Board Bill 15 be passed out with a due pass recommendation. We have a call for previous roll. Any objections to previous roll? Hearing none. Please turn your mic off because I promise you, you're not on this committee. This is now only committee business. Hearing none, Board Bill 15 is passed out with a due pass recommendation. Okay, now we will go to Board Bill number 17. Madam Clerk, would you please read the introduction to Board Bill number 17?
Board Bill 17, introduced by Alderwoman Shameen Clark-Hubbard, an ordinance authorizing and directing the Director of Streets to permanently close, barricade, or otherwise impede the flow of traffic on Hold'em tracks by blocking said traffic flow at the east curb line of Hamilton Avenue, at the intersection of Hold'em tracks and Hamilton Avenue, and at the west curb line of Goodfellow Boulevard at the intersection of Hold'em tracks and Goodfellow Boulevard.
Right. Alderwoman Clark, you are recognized to present Board Bill 17 to the committee.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman, members of the committee. This is the companion bill for 15 that we were just speaking about. So not sure if any more discussion will really need to be had. This is just doing the same thing with the Shaman Pots blocking the traffic at the Hold'em block that is just south of the Maryville Laurel block.
Okay. And so since we did kind of speak to them as companion bills, but I will ask any of the people who showed up if they have anything different to say for this bill as they did to the 15th Board Bill number 15. If you do, please raise your hand. If not, we're going to go on to the committee. Okay, seeing no hands that are raised. Alderman Vaccaro, do you have any questions or concerns to the sponsor regarding Board Bill number 17? Alderman Vaccaro?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I have no questions.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Alderwoman Boyd, she's at a meeting. Alderwoman Schweitzer?
No questions.
Okay. I entertain a motion for a due pass. Oh, I'm sorry. Alderwoman Clark, you are recognized to close on Board Bill 17.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. I ask for a favorable consideration and due pass recommendation for Board Bill 17.
Okay. I'd entertain a motion that Board Bill 17
so
passed out with a due pass recommendation.
No, it's so moved.
Okay.
Previous roll, please.
We have a motion, a second, and a call for previous roll. Any objections for previous roll? Hearing none, Board Bill 17 is passed out with a due pass recommendation. Thank you. And I want to say to citizens, we hear your concerns. We really do. And I think that this removable ballot may help alleviate a lot of your concerns with that. And so we share the same person, Donald Williams for BPS. And so he knows all about that. And I'm sure the Alderwoman would speak to him as fast as possible. And that will probably be a great way so that everybody feels comfortable. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Thank you, Alderwoman.
Thank you.
Okay. Now we have Board Bill number 3, which is item number 1, introduced by Alderwoman Christine Ingrassia. Madam Clerk, would you please read the introduction to Board Bill number 3?
Board Bill number 3, introduced by Alderwoman Christine Ingrassia, an ordinance authorizing the honorary street name Ollie Stewart Way pursuant to Ordinance 68937, which shall begin at the intersection of Park Avenue and Cardinal Avenue and run east on Park Avenue to the intersection of Park Avenue and Montrose Avenue.
Okay, Alderwoman Ingrassia, you are recognized to present Board Bill number 3 to the committee.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee. I'm happy to be here today for, I think, something that is long overdue. Many of us know Ollie Stewart, who has worn a number of hats over the years, including the director of Southside Wellness Center in the Gate District, which is where this honorary street naming will be placed in between Cardinal and Montrose on Park Avenue. And it's a center for seniors and developmentally challenged adults. They do quite a few comprehensive type services, get people out of their houses, get them to doctor's appointments, a civil rights advocate, an advocate for seniors, a mentor to many politicians, and also the former committee woman of the 6th Ward. So I'm happy to take questions from the committee if you have them.
Okay, I'm gonna start. How long, you said this was a long time coming. How long ago did they approach you about doing this honorary street naming? Do you remember?
I'm not exactly sure. The biggest holdup that we had was waiting for permission with the signatures, because the property across the street is solely owned by a church, and the property on Southside Wellness Center was also, that was not a problem because that was all signatures available. But we received permission to move forward, and I asked that it be introduced at the beginning of this session.
Okay, so you were having a problem with getting signatures from the church across the street? Is that what you're saying?
Correct.
Okay. So how long did it take?
I'm not sure. I would have to go back and look at my emails. I can do that while we're talking, or I can do it at a
no, because I'm not going to pass this bill out because I had some different information. I don't know if you know this. Ollie actually lived for a long time in what is now called the 1st, but it's really the 20th Ward, the real 20th Ward. And so she was on Terry. And so I have some information that is a little different than what you're telling me. And so I'm going to be holding this board bill until I bring the persons who want to testify. They couldn't be here today, but I want to hear what they have to say. And I really want to hear what they have to say, because I'm kind of irritated with you, Alderwoman, not about the money for the bridge, but because I asked you to send one of my resolutions to your committee and ask before I sent it there. And then you would not respond to me, nor would you have a hearing. And so I tell people, do not treat me any way that you do not want to be treated, okay? I am pretty, even if I don't agree with you, I'm that person that will hear your bills or resolutions anyway. But when you sit on something of mine, you can expect the same treatment. In this case, I love Ollie Stewart, so you won't get the same treatment. But I want to tell you how disappointed I am in you that you thought that that was all right. And then you sent me an email every day. Will you hear my bill? Will you hear my bill? I don't have to agree with you to be fair to you, but I expect you to do the same thing. And so when you tell me you will, yes, you can send a resolution to my committee, and it was about the homeless, and then you don't do that, I'm a very irritated person about that. I don't think that that's what you should be doing, and that's not how I treat people. And I don't expect to be treated like that. So I'm very disappointed.
I apologize. It sounds like I may have overlooked the message from you. I
called you, I left messages, I text you, and I emailed you. You did not overlook it. You just ignored me. And so I could do the same. I'm not, but I want you to know I don't appreciate it. And I've been a person when you first came here that protected you and looked out for you. And I don't appreciate people doing like that. If you're not going to hear my bill, tell me. Okay, I didn't have to send that bill to that. It wasn't a bill. I'm sorry, it's a resolution. I didn't have to send it there. And I wrote another one that now we're going to hear in public safety. I'm going to reintroduce it. But I just don't treat people like that. I'm a pretty fair person, even if I disagree with you. And I don't like that. But I did get some different information, and I'm going to let the other people come and testify. So I'm going to hold this bill. I want you to sit here and understand that that's not the relationship we've had, and I don't expect it to be in the future either. Okay, but just was very disappointed. And then you just kept emailing me, will you hear my bill? I'm always going to hear people's bill in a pretty even manner. I'm not going to try to, because we disagree, to punish and keep you from doing things. But if you do hold my bills, expect the same treatment mostly. Not this one. I actually love Ollie, but don't do that anymore. Okay, that's what I'm telling you. So I'm going to not finish the bill, because I do want the person who told me that they had been trying to get you to hear this bill for a couple of years and you would not. I do not want you to use Ollie Stewart as a political game. And so I know you guys have not always gotten along, and I've tried to stay out the middle of it because I liked you and I liked her, but I'm not going to let you play this political game if that's what you're doing. Okay, So I'm not gonna pass this bill out. It will be back on the agenda for next Wednesday. Thank you for appearing before us, and at that time, I'll let that person testify, and then we'll have questions, okay? Thank you. Is there anybody else that has anything else before the committee? Anybody else? Okay, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn to adjourn this meeting.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, this meeting of Streets, Traffic, and Refuge is adjourned. Thank you.